It's pasta night, and tonight we're having pasta Primavera with a creamy vegan Alfredo sauce that is delicious. It's going to become one of your family favorites. Our creamy Alfredo sauce has a secret ingredient, but we'll get to that in a minute. To get our dinner done in a half an hour or less, we need to get our veggies cooking, and while the veggies cook, we'll go ahead and make our sauce. To get started, we're going to add a little bit of olive oil to our pan. And then we're going to add in the vegetables that take the longest to cook, which are going to be our onions and our peppers. For this recipe, you can use whatever vegetables you like. I am using what I had in the refrigerator. I'm going to also throw my carrots in because they take a little while to cook. And we are going to just let that start cooking while we start working on our sauce. The secret ingredient tonight for our vegan Alfredo sauce is silken tofu. The silken tofu that you find in the produce department of your local grocery store is going to be a soft tofu, and you want an extra firm, which you'll find in the Asian department. To get started, you'll just need one package of this. So let's open it up. And we just dump it in. To the tofu, we are going to add in a cup and a half of non-dairy milk. We're going to add oil. This is olive oil. We have a little salt, a little onion powder, and a little garlic. One of the secret ingredients to the Alfredo sauce is this vegan Parmesan cheese. This is the brand I'm using today, but you can use whatever brand you can find at your local grocery store or your health food market. But I just add enough of this to add a little bit of cheesy flavor so that your family won't miss that. Then I'm going to add some nutritional yeast flakes. I'm just going to put in 1/8 of a cup or 2 tablespoons. That adds a nice cheesy flavor, and believe it or not, it also adds a lot of protein. It doesn't take long to blend. You just want to blend it long enough to get that tofu all mixed up. All right, that should do it. Look how creamy that is. I am going to go ahead and add in some herbs. I am adding some dried parsley and dried basil. And I'm adding that last because I don't want to blend that all up. It'll turn my sauce a little bit green. We want it to be nice and white. I'm also going to add in a few fresh basil leaves. If I had parsley, I would add a little bit of fresh parsley here too. You don't have to worry about cutting it up. We're going to use our Vitamix to chop that up for us. So let's drop that in. We're just going to do a quick pulse. That's going to chop up our fresh herbs and also mix in our dry herbs without turning everything green. All right, that's all we have to do for our sauce. Let's get our vegetables finished, and then we'll put this dinner together. So one of the secrets to making sure your family really likes this is to cook those onions really well. A lot of people just don't like onions because they don't get cooked all the way through. Now, if your family really hates onions, you can leave them out, but I do think they add a lot of flavor, and we're just going to get those cooked really well before we add the rest of our vegetables that don't need much cooking. Okay, I am going to go ahead and add in some cauliflower and also some broccoli and get those cooking. You notice I chopped this all really small so that it's easier to eat and makes the dish taste so much better when you can get all the veggies in one bite and you're not fighting with a huge piece of broccoli or a huge piece of cauliflower. So let's let those cook down for a minute. Now sometimes with this, because I don't add a lot of oil, it starts to get a little dry. So you can add a little bit of water and it'll partially steam those vegetables while they're cooking. I'm going to give that a minute longer with some water and let that steam. We don't want to overcook our vegetables, but we also don't want to undercook our vegetables. For our supper tonight, I already made our pasta ahead of time, and I've kept it in the refrigerator overnight. And there's a reason I did that, because there's studies that show that if you cook your pasta ahead of time and refrigerate it overnight and then eat it, it is less likely to spike your blood sugar, so it'll keep your blood sugar on an even keel, and that'll keep you healthier. There are lots of pastas to choose from. There's protein pasta and there's chickpea pasta. For example, one serving of this chickpea pasta has 11 grams of protein, and a serving of this, the protein pasta has 10 grams of protein. So you're getting lots of protein without having to add any types of meat or veggie meat to your meal. A lot of people think pasta is just not good for you, that it's high in carbohydrates. And it might be high in carbohydrates, but we're seeing in the Blue Zone studies that there's at least 2 of these Blue Zone groups that eat a lot of pasta, but they still live 10 years longer than the average American. So we can learn from them that eating pasta in appropriate sizes and eating more healthful pasta, or maybe even refrigerating it overnight, will help us have our pasta and eat it too. Let's get back to our vegetables. All right, our vegetables look so good. We're going to add in our super short cooking vegetables. We're going to add in some garlic. And then we're going to add in our tomatoes and our spinach. You could also add zucchini in here, anything you like. I wanted to show you that it's better not to just put your spinach into the dinner like this. It becomes big and chunky and hard to eat, but it doesn't take long to run a knife through it. And then you have tiny pieces of spinach that your family hardly notices, and they're still getting their good iron and protein from the greens. So let's stir that in. You cannot go wrong with a dinner like this. It's beautiful. Okay, we just want that spinach to wilt a little bit and our tomatoes just to barely get warm, and then we're going to add in the Alfredo sauce. There we go. Look how creamy that is. We're going to let that cook for just a minute before we add in our pasta. Our pasta Primavera is done, and I'm going to put it into this bowl because I don't have room in my pan to mix it all together. So let's add some pasta to our bowl. And I'm going to add the Alfredo sauce on top of that. That looks so good. Let's give it a quick stir. Does that look so good? Now, if you have people in your family who aren't plant-based, you don't feel like you have to make 2 different meals. They're going to love this pasta. And if they need something meaty with it, you can go ahead and just make a piece of chicken for them to put on top, or make a piece of chicken to put on the side, and that will satisfy them completely. This is really all you need for a dinner, but I'll tend to serve this with a fresh salad and maybe a piece of garlic bread because that's tasty too. So let's serve some up and give it a taste. I am confident that your family is going to love this pasta Primavera recipe. If you need some help going plant-based and you need more dinner recipes, then check out my playlist for family dinners right here. So good.